Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing great. Happy Mother's Day. I am so excited that you guys are here and ready to make your Mother's Day workshop. I'm Amanda with Bloomhouse Fine Flowers, and we're going to get started on our beautiful arrangement. So you should have already hydrated your flowers, so they are tip-top shape and ready to go. Well, they're not in tip-top shape because we are going to make them in tip-top shape. That's all part of the experience of making arrangement just like a real florist. So let's go through what we've got. You should have your bubble bowl that was included in your kit, and it should be pretty full with water. We want to go at least 3/4 of the way up. Then you're going to have your handy dandy shears or good scissors. If you liked our workshop and you want to continue doing them with us, you can purchase ones like this from our Favorite Things tab on our website, and it'll take you to where you can buy them on Amazon. These things are amazing. They save your wrist because they cut through your stems just like butter. All right, let's go through what we have in our flower bundle. I like to separate everything out into the same type of flower, and we're going to clean them all up first. So you can put your vase away for the moment. So we're going to clean them all up first. That way, when we get to designing, we're just designing. We're not having to stop to clean up things. So in your workshop bundle kit, you should have yellow solidago. You should have one blue hydrangea. You should have 3 stems of purple spray roses, and then 3 regular roses. So now that we have them all separated out, we're going to wait and do our solidago last. Next, let's go to our hydrangea. And we've got big fluffy leaves on these guys, and they're going to be way in the way. So we're going to take them off, but we're going to do it gently. Anytime we peel a leaf off of a stem, we want to make sure we're right at where the leaf connects to the stem, right like this. We don't want to pull like this, especially on flowers as they get higher up to the bloom, because they're connected to other parts, and you could pull that whole part off and then you've lost a little piece of your flower. So like these higher ones, I just like to snap right off just by pushing down, right like that. If you have some leaves that are really high up, like this guy, he might be okay. It's up to you if you want to leave him, but we're going to be threading flowers through them, so he's probably going to get in the way anyway. So we're going to go ahead and just get all of the leaves off. Even these little guys down here, they're not necessarily going to be seen, but again, because we're going to be threading flowers in between the branches of our hydrangea, they're going to probably get in the way. So I like to get them all nice and clean. So now you can see kind of on the inside of your hydrangea, you have little, like I call them, little broccoli stems. And you can fluff your hydrangea up. A little note about hydrangea, they get their name because they absolutely love water. Hydra, it stands for water, hydrangea. So they're going to soak a ton of water. So it's important to make sure that you keep refilling your vase. Also, they're a unique flower in that they can absorb water through their petals. So if you, per your instructions, if yours came a little droopy or if it got a little droopy, you can submerge this whole flower in water, and it will help build up the turgor pressure, which makes it more rigid. So he's all clean and good to go. If there are any brown spots in your hydrangea, feel free to just pick them off. You don't have to worry about doing it too much. You could literally pick out tons of pieces of this and you'd never know the difference. We call that cleaning them up. Next, we have our spray roses. Most of the time they come tightly bundled up here with their broccoli kind of stems up here, but a few times they come with really long tendrils. So we're going to go ahead and cut those all into individual little pieces, because we're only going to need about 8 inches worth of stem from them. So there's no point in cleaning up all the rest of this guy if we're not using him. So let's take off all the little leaves. We don't want any leaves below our water line because leaves will harbor more bacteria and that will make your flowers go bad faster. If you have a stem that lost its bloom, that's okay. That's all part of the normal process of being a florist. We're gonna cut off that stem because he's ugly and we don't need him. So right down here where he connects to the main stem, we're gonna clean it, clip it off cleanly so it looks like he was never there. Then as we get up closer to the flower bloom, you're gonna see these green guys. These are called calyxes. And this is what the bud formed in. And it is now opened up and released the bloom. And he's helping guard the rest of the petal up here, or the flower up here with the guard petals. So just because they're down doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. And we're not really going to see them in our arrangement. So it's up to you if you want to remove these or not. If they're folded or if you see any kind of decay on them, you definitely want to take them off because that will make your flower go bad faster. So to do that, we're going to do it the same way we did it with our leaf. We're going to just press down lightly at the base and kind of peel him off, almost like you're peeling off a hangnail. You don't want to leave him like half broken. Let's see if I can do this incorrectly on purpose. So like that. We don't want that little half hanging guy there. We want to take him off cleanly, right like that. Then next, moving further up, we're going to remove what the damaged petals that are around them. They're called guard petals because they guard the rest of the bloom from getting damaged. Don't take off too many, just the ones that really have damage. If for whatever reason you have a damaged petal in the middle, but the rest of them are fine, you can wiggle your fingers down inside the bloom and just pluck out that one little bloom, right like that. You don't want to like peel them and get a half of a bloom. You want to make sure you get that whole petal. So go ahead and do that with all of your spray roses. Get them all nice and clean. Now, if you have a tighter bloom and you think you could be a little bit bigger, on our spray roses, we're gonna just lightly blow in them and they'll open up nice and big. Beautiful. Now, if you have the ones that are a little bit more clustered up here, you can just cut below where they are making one stem, right like that. Now this one is too long, but it's showing you for an example. And then you can use them as a cluster and you would clean them up just the same way because we will be using these in our arrangement as a cluster. If you have unopened blooms like this little guy, that's completely up to you if you want to use him too. It could add to your kind of garden-like feel. Hope you guys are thoroughly enjoying your rustic meal, your meal from the Rustic. We were extremely happy to partner with them for Mother's Day because what goes better with a beautiful brunch or lunch for Mother's Day than a little flower arrangement plus an activity, something fun to do, maybe something that you haven't done before but always wanted. We do offer a lot of other workshops too past Mother's Day. And when things open back, we'll go back to also offering them in our shop. So next we're going to go to our pink regular size roses. This one is pink. He's just a little really pale pink and the sun is very bright outside. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to clean up all of the stems or all the leaves off the stem. If you have any thorns in this top section, because we're going to cut them off here about 8 inches or so because that's, again, all we're about to use. But if you have any thorns up here, just go ahead and you push them off by the side. So you do a side push, and that way it limits the chance for you getting stuck. So now we're gonna go up here and remove any damaged calyxes and garden roses. I'm sorry, guard roses, guard petals. Goodness gracious. Garden roses are different than regular roses. They are an ultra premium flower that usually still has a really good scent. So a good way to open up these guys is by turning them over and just lightly rolling him between your hands like so. Don't do it too hard because then your petals could go shooting off. You can also blow in them like we did our spray roses. And then if he's really, really tight and not wanting to open a whole lot, you can wiggle your fingers down in there and just help open him up. Don't go too hard or too deep. You'll feel how much the rose is gonna let you do. And you start from the outside and then work your way in as the petal gives away into opening. And you can do this several ways and show you the difference between an opened rose and the original. See? There we go. So go ahead and do that with all 3 of your regular roses. Make a nice little trash pile. Spin, spin, spin. I hope this beautiful weather continues all the way through Mother's Day. Because how gorgeous would this be as like a little picnic from the Rustic? You come inside when it's too hot and work on your flowers. Beautiful, beautiful. Alrighty. Get that last guard petal off. This one's really nice and tight. Now this doesn't make your flower go any faster. It just allows you to see his and enjoy his beautiful face for longer. So now we've got our regular roses, our spray roses, and our hydrangea. The solidago we're gonna do as a last piece, and I'll show, there's a really fun way to use that in multiple of different ways. So we're gonna start with our hydrangea, and it's gonna act as an armature. An armature is something that can help hold other things into place. So we're gonna cut him, we're gonna kind of measure. So my guy is like this, if I put him straight up and down, but I don't want him to lean to one side or the other. I would like him to be displayed more like this. So I'm going to cut my stem with that in mind. So I want him, it's better to cut longer first and then go shorter. And you're gonna cut at an angle. And this is for several reasons. Well, we're not working with Oasis this time, but that helps you go into Oasis more like a knife than crushing it with a blunt tip. And it also opens up to have more surface area of the stem to draw up water. And remember, hydrangea is like water. So the sharper of a cut you can do with a hydrangea, the better. So I want him to, the bloom to just rest right on top, and he's not. So he's like leaning to one side or the other. So that means I need to cut him a little bit shorter. And you just keep cutting until he's hanging out right on the top. So this is still not fantastic because you can see he's gonna move around a whole lot. I want him to be resting with the stem just kind of hanging there and not touching the bottom. So keep cutting until you get to the right height. There we go. Perfect. So now you can see My stem is not touching the bottom, but he's in there nice and deep, and he's resting right on top of the vase. Now he's not going to go anywhere as I start to put flowers in. So part of design is you decorate in threes and odd numbers because that's more pleasing to the eye. So we start with 3. And in this instance, we're going to think of the top of our hydrangea as a triangle. So we're going to start with our regular roses to give us that good triangle look, and then we'll follow from there. So again, I measure about where I'm going to want him, so I know about where to cut. And again, I'm going to cut longer than necessary. And we're going to insert, this way I'm doing it as if you were seeing it. So you should be doing it facing yourself. We want it in about a 30 to 45 degree angle. That way his beautiful face is facing you. And we're just going to weasel him down in between the hydrangea stems and branches all the way. So now he's touching the bottom of my vase, but as you can see, he's sticking out way too much. So I'm going to take him out, and we're going to cut him a little bit shorter. And you need to gauge that based on how much he was sticking out. So we want him to still be above our hydrangea, but still nestled right in there. Right, like that. So he's just barely above. You kind of have to feel your way through the hydrangea branches. All right, so not sure if you can see, but that stem is way up high on the water line. That's okay. You just have to be mindful of that as you are refilling your water. All right, so now we're going to do about the same length for all other roses, or our regular roses. We're going to put them in a triangle formation. I can't show you, but you can see how that's in a nice little triangle. Sorry, the sun is very bright and making my pink roses look white, but they're pink. Next, we're going to take our spray roses, and I like to do, again, clusters of 3s. So, which is perfect because I have, from my cut ones, 3 sets of 3. And we're going to put these near our other large roses. So in the same formation, we're going to measure and then snip, and then open up a little space in your hydrangea near one of your other roses. And it's up to you if you want to go higher or lower, and varying it up is good too. Remember, don't cut too short because they need to stay in the water too. We're going to keep these in little clusters of 3s. If you want to use an erroneous one in a random place to kind of break up your hydrangea, you can. If you want to put one on either side of your regular rose, you certainly can. However, I like to cluster them. It looks a little bit more like nature. Because when flowers bloom and then turn into seed in the wild, they seed right below them and then grows up more of that particular flower. And so they tend to grow in patches. So we like to decorate in patches to mimic nature as much as possible. All right, so I've got my little bits of purple all throughout. And again, we've got them all nestled right within themselves. We don't have any that are, sticking way up here or anything like that. All right, now we're going to take our solidago, and your stems are going to be longer than mine are. So you can get 2 or 3 uses out of them. And what I mean by that is you can see, I'm going to cut them a little bit shorter. you've got a lot of little like longer stems down here. So what you can do is you can choose how much you want on this little top section, follow it down and snip it. You want at least 6 inches per snip. And now I'm going to take off some of these erroneous ones that would be below the water line. And now I've got 2 stems that I can use. And like I said, if your stems are longer and you have blooms that are going much farther down the stem, sometimes even these little guys are so long, you can snip those and just use them by themselves, like we did the spray roses. All right. So now we're going to put a little touch of those all throughout. We want to make sure to follow in our triangle and continue filling in from there. So this guy, he's sticking up again too much. I want just a little accent of that yellow. I'm going to take him out and just give him a little snip right like that. So now he's nestled in there. He's not taking attention away from all of the other beautiful flowers. He just complements it all. So I'm going to start with my triangle. Solidago is really fun filler because it can come in a ton of colors, and especially for the fall, you can get it in tinted colors too. Perfect. Now that I've got them in my triangle, if I have extra, I can choose to put them throughout. See if I can get a third use for this guy. Make sure you take off the leaves below the water line. If you're going to do more, the very first place I would start would be smack dab in the top. Again, to break up that hydrangea a little bit, we want a nice even mixture of color throughout. I have one last use of this guy. Perfect. So there's a little bit of a big open space here in my hydrangea. I'm just going to thread him in right there. Make sure when you're threading in that you're actually getting it into the bowl and not going past it. Perfect. And there is your beautiful Mother's Day workshop arrangement. Be sure not to water it with soft water. If you do have a water softener at home, please be sure to use hose water or that packet of water, water conditioning packet. If you have any left over from that, continue using that. But flowers do not like soft water. They like all the nutrients from the hard water. Make sure to take a look and make sure all of your blooms, stems are in the water, and make sure to go ahead and fill it up a little bit more. To fill it up, what I like to do is just make a nice little hole in the top of my hydrangea and water straight in through there. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope to see you at one of our next workshops.